Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mile High Sports. Today, we are live here from the New Orleans Convention Center. Aniello has food, and actually, I have to admit it keeps looking good every time he stops by, and I got converted, so I'm going to try not to eat it, while I can wait a couple minutes, but just barely.
Fair.
Danny's eating. Aniello's eating. You guys are going to make it hard on me.
We munching, baby.
Well, now we're getting to the point where we're having some really good conversations that we're looking forward to talking about the game itself. Want to remind you, by the way, with the game itself coming up this weekend.
Tell him, Shawn.
You want to watch the big game somewhere while you're looking where you might want to watch it?
Where?
Well, how about on the 9th with America's favorite cheerleaders, the Hooters girls.
Woo!
Hooters has you covered
That's a
for
win.
all of the football action with big screen TVs, ice cold beer, mouth-watering wings, drink specials, Bud Light for $3.11, Modelo Especial for $4.15 while you root on your favorite team, which presumably in Denver is not the Chiefs. Hooters, your big game headquarters. Let's start there. We have some really good conversations that we want to be able to let you hear from, and we will. We had a great chance to talk Broncos legend Ed McCaffrey. We'll hear about what Ed is doing. Ed's doing some interesting things as well.
He's got food too.
He's got food as well, and had some really good conversations about the Broncos Super Bowl teams that he was on, what made them great, how that can still happen in today's game. That's a discussion you definitely want to hold on to. Kyle Rudolph, 2-time Pro Bowler with the Vikings, is also joins us with Buccaneers as well. Caught Tom Brady's final regular season touchdown pass. By the way,
a flex.
Yeah, it is. Kyle Rudolph will join us.
There's Kurt Warner.
Well. Kurt Warner's walking by. It's that time.
It's a who's who
thing. It is pretty much a who's who. And then we'll have a chance to talk to Andrew Sneyd. You and I had a chance to talk to him, the executive vice president at FanDuel.
That was a great conversation.
So if you're interested in like the DFS world, in the betting world, how it all comes together, what it works. And by the way, hold on there. Specials only happening in Colorado. Promos only happen in Colorado that Andrew shared with us. So you absolutely want to make sure you catch that as well. But here we are, the game now just a couple of days away. I am torn with this, and I've had this conversation with Nate, and you and I haven't had a chance. So in the end, I'm not necessarily the T-shirt that says hope both teams have a good time, but I am primarily concerned with a good team and a good game. I'm more concerned about seeing what we saw last time, a 3-point game, something exciting.
That's what you want.
Yeah, I want to see that, and I actually think we're going to get it because I think you're getting some teams that are experienced.
Yep,
they have the culture. You'll hear a little bit how that's valuable from Ed McCaffrey in a bit, but the idea I have there is that we heard it with Brian Billick. I think Philly, top to bottom, 1-53, has a better team, but I have to try to talk myself into the idea that they would win. And in Denver, I'm supposed to apparently be like, okay, you want the Chiefs to lose.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't have a rooting interest, but I'm not sitting here going, man, I just hope the Chiefs lose, because I do appreciate what we're seeing.
Yep.
And
I agree.
I think it's been a bit of the anti-Patriots, right? Andy Reid's not Bill Belichick. He's not, we're on to Cincinnati. You talk about Patrick Mahomes. He's not Tom Brady. He's not this sort of, kind of cold, calculated kind of guy. It's more fun-loving. You know about Travis Kelce, but and I get the Chiefs are overexposed because they're the winners, and that's what happens. But I'm not rooting against them because I, quite frankly, even in the Broncos division, I enjoy watching them play.
I agree. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is incredible. Like, if we were a fan of the Seahawks or something, right, a team that has no affiliation with Kansas City or the AFC West, I think you feel a lot different about this. I understand that there's some general Chiefs fatigue, but what we're watching is nothing short of spectacular. And newsflash, like, I agree with you. I think Philly, top to bottom, roster-wise, is probably the stronger team.
Yeah.
But there's one thing that the Chiefs have that Philly doesn't, and his name is Patrick Mahomes.
I was chatting very briefly with Steve Atwater, because right over us is a big old picture of Patrick Mahomes. And we kind of said the same thing. It's like, oh, yeah, Philly can win. I said, like, unless they don't have the ball last.
But it comes down to, I've said it before, man, like during that game against Buffalo in the AFC Championship game, like Buffalo was like, maybe they might have this. I never a doubt with Kansas City. Like, they just make it look so effortless.
Like you were playing Madden when you were younger, right? 100%. And it was just everyone scored every time. And, the last guy that had the ball always won the game. it feels like that because Andy Reid's clock management is absolutely immaculate.
Yeah.
Mahomes performs it perfectly. And we've had a chance to hear some from some tight ends, and we will with Kyle Rudolph as well. But right now, in the way the game's being adjudicated, there are advantages built into the tight end position
100%.
that obviously when you have the best one in the game, and the Chiefs do, you have a built-in edge. And now these two guys, there are times, you watched a couple passes in the playoffs where Mahomes sort of rolls around and looks for Kelsey, and you get the impression he could throw it with his eyes closed. He just knows where
muscle memory.
The Kelsey knows exactly where to go at every point in time. He just knows. And being able to beat that when you have that ace in the hole that you can pull out at any point you want is really, really tough.
Yeah, and I mean, that's why I've been on the Chiefs since I literally opened up my FanDuel Sportsbook app, and the moment that the line was up for the Super Bowl, I was all over the Chiefs. I'm in that situation where I'm like, you know what? Last year I was able to pay for a steak dinner by betting the Chiefs over the 49ers in the Super Bowl. Somehow the Chiefs were the underdog in that matchup, which made zero sense. And now it looks like there's a lot of money coming in on Philly.
The folks over at Westgate
shout out
actually
Westgate.
Said that they believe by the time kickoff hits, the Eagles will be the favorites.
Which is insane to me. Like, I don't know if that's like hate betting or rage betting or like I don't want to see the Chiefs win again betting. I ain't betting against Patrick Mahomes, Sean. I ain't doing it. I just ain't doing it.
I'm not.
It's an annual tradition at this point.
Yeah, I all year long I have said the same thing. I've been on the Chiefs. Nate and I've talked about the one score games and does it mean there's a weakness? I think winning tight games is a skill, and
I agree.
I think it pays off.
I agree.
And so can Philly win this game? Absolutely, they can win it. It's one of the reasons if you're better, one of the things that I've liked is you pair up a Eagles win on the money line with a Saquon winning MVP.
I like that a lot
because if they do, it feels like that's what would happen.
I like that a lot,
right? That you'd have Saquon winning the MVP because he may be the difference maker. But remember, this game was really close last time. Jalen Hurts ran for 3 touchdowns.
Yep.
You have a lot of things coming
without
that are
Saquon
pretty remarkable. Yeah, now you got Saquon Barkley. It just feels like the kind of game you can't make a mistake. Oddly, the only team in the playoffs that has won with a negative turnover differential is the Chiefs.
Of course.
They did that against the Bills. So obviously that's another thing. Boy, they're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. And I think to your point, though, I think it'll be a close game. I don't see it being a blowout one way or the other, which is really, I think, all you could ask for at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But, that's get your popcorn ready.
Yeah, get your orders in to pick up those wings from Hooters so you can catch the game on Sunday. That'll do it for us from Media.
What a time, man. What a time.
Center. It's been terrific being out here, of course. Thanks to everyone who made it possible. Thanks to Nate Lundy for making that possible. Danny Bailey's done all the work. Does his job out here, but harder than everybody else's. So thanks to Danny, none of it happens without him. And of course, we're happy to do it for you. However you're catching this, whether you're watching it live, whether you're watching it on recording, hey, there's still a lot of great football to catch. And we'll do that. Ed McCaffrey, Kyle Rudolph, and Andrew Sneyd of FanDuel coming up next. Have a great Super Bowl weekend. This is Mile High Sports Today.
With millions of page views every year, ColoradoPreps.com is the #1 source for the high school sports community to keep up with the latest news and scores. From football and volleyball to basketball and softball, ColoradoPreps.com provides a year-round hub for coaches, friends, and family to stay connected to their favorite schools and athletes, and keep an eye on their rivals. Covering high school sports from the peaks to the plains, you always get the latest at ColoradoPreps.com.
Welcome back to Mile High Sports Today and the Media Center here, live from New Orleans, the site of Super Bowl 59. Shawn, Drotar, and Aniello, Piro with you, and the man on our right needs very little introduction, but we're going to do so anyway for Broncos fans. Number 87, Ed McCaffrey joins us. Ed, thanks so much. You have a busy schedule. Obviously, you have that morning show at Sirius XM, and took a little time wrapping that up. I guess sit down with us. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me on the show. Yeah, I'm having a blast. I wish my kids' teams were in it, or if not, the Broncos were in it, but they're not. But it's still like a reunion for me. I'm running into players that I played with, friends of my kids who are now in the league, coaches that coached me or that we played against. And so it's kind of fun. It's like a little bit of a reunion. I'm trying to enjoy it as much as I can.
Well, the Broncos at least closer this year, getting back in the playoffs after that long drought without it, the longest playoff stretch as an NFL franchise. So it kind of feels like they're through the other side there. But for the Broncos, maybe start at one of the positions that, of course, you would know the best. The Broncos are trying to get a little bit deeper at wide receiver. Obviously, when you look at the tight end spot, running back spot, Sean Payton's talked about those wide receivers as well. One of the things that we were talking about before you came on was thinking when you were winning Super Bowls, the Broncos and Rod Smith were not only capable blockers, that's one skill, but willing blockers.
Yeah.
And with teams that can run the ball, like we look at the Super Bowl here with these two teams that are power run game type of teams, even though you think of the Chiefs as being a high flying offense, they're not that kind of team anymore. That's a skill set that we're starting to see at times come back a little bit to the NFL.
Yeah, unless you have a trained eye, sometimes it's hard to see, right? Because there's a lot of receivers that are good at making it look like they just barely didn't make that block. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I ran, but I just didn't quite get there. And the average fan, it looks like they tried. No, they didn't. They didn't get there because they didn't want to get there. And it's my opinion that if you want to have a great run game, you have to have receivers that are willing to block. And the reason is everybody else has to block. That's their job. There's a lot of unwilling receivers out there. Now, some of them really get after it, and I appreciate the ones that do. Rod Smith and I, we cut our teeth blocking. We used to have side bets who could have the most decleaters in the game. We were backups, and the only way the coach would even notice us is if some guy on the defense went flying to the ground. So we literally would have like little $5 and $10 side bets on who could have the most decleaters, and we would have 2 or 3 a game, not like good blocks, knocking some guy on his tail feathers, right? I mean, that was our goal, and it was so fun. I had so much fun that first year in Denver, just getting after it, and it was fun to have a guy like Rod Smith who you're rooting for. You're competing for the same position. We were competing for the same spot on the team, yet we were rooting for each other. And that's the greatest experience you can have in sports, competing with someone that you're also rooting for. But we did it by really buying into blocking in the run game, and it's something that Coach Shanahan required. Matter of fact, Shannon Sharp was putting up big numbers as a receiver, a tight end, but making a lot of catches. And I remember, and this story is well known, Coach Shanahan had to call him in. And I think Shannon's thinking he's getting a pat on the back. He might have had 7 catches in the game, thinking he played pretty well. And Coach Shanahan's like, hey, look, I need you to buy into blocking in the run game, or I'm going to have to, think about trading you. And this is Shannon Sharp, right? And so, but, to Shannon's credit, guess what he did? Did he complain or bitch and moan about it? No, he said, okay. I thought I was going to get a pat on the back, but if that's what you need, that's what I'm going to do. We don't win 2 Super Bowls without players buying in to that mentality. That's why we won. And when you got a line like we had and a running back like Terrell Davis, guess what? We're going to win a lot of games. But a 4-yard run and a tackle by a safety is not the same as a 60-yard touchdown because Shannon got his block, because Rod and I dug out a safety. It doesn't happen without that kind of commitment. And so I see a lot of teams have success, put up big numbers. I see receivers that don't quite make the block, and now, it's 2nd and 10. They're thinking, great, we're going to throw the ball now. I'll get another catch. They're not concerned about it. But I'm telling you, to be a great team, your receivers have to buy in. Your tight ends there's a lot of tight ends that can't block in the league. Your tight ends have to buy in. And so I was lucky to be on those types of teams.
Well, it's obviously not easy to win 1 championship, let alone 2 in a row. And obviously the Kansas City Chiefs now going for their 3-peat. But you talk about the fabric of that kind of championship DNA that you guys had back there. Also, as a quick side note, how crazy is that? I was looking this up. You guys were double-digit underdogs in that Super Bowl against Green
points.
Bay, which is insane to think about. Obviously, Green Bay in their heyday, they were trying to go back-to-back at that point as well with the young Brett Favre and all that kind of stuff. But what was it like from you for going from that 97 championship season, going to that 98 championship season, and kind of keeping that fabric of that team together to go back-to-back?
Oh, well, we're talking about the Chiefs potentially 3-peating, first time in NFL history. We had an opportunity to 3-peat. But the game we lost was before we won. We lost to Jacksonville. Right. We were 14-2. We had the best team in the league. And nobody can convince me we didn't have the best team in the league in 96, 97, right? We should have won Super Bowl 31. We never got there because we had one bad game. We slipped up, and we got beat at home in our first playoff game of the division round by the Jacksonville Jaguars. And it haunts me to this day. But our opportunity to 3-peat was that year. And then John ended up retiring after Super Bowl 33, and it changed the direction of the team. But we had that opportunity. We had the people in place. The thing that impressed me so much about our team after that loss was that when we went in the next day, and, that's the day, clean out your locker, window or aisle, go home, leave. The season's over. I was in the weight room and Gary Kubiak was standing next to me, and he said, "Hey, Eddie, you know how we're going to be great?" And I'm still in shock. I don't know. How are we going to be great? And he's like, "Look at this weight room. We had 3/4 of our team getting their lift in. Right? Most guys are gone. You're
putting stuff in duffel bags.
Gone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he brought it to my attention. I looked around. I'm like, you're right. 3/4 of our team is getting their lift in on a day when they don't have to lift. There's no requirement to lift. Go home." And it was almost like nobody expected to lose. No one had plans to leave. And we were already, the day after that loss, working towards next season. And it's having a team made up of guys like that allows you to have a chance at least to have success. And that's what we had. And that's why we won the next 2 years. But going into the Super Bowl 32 against the Green Bay Packers, you mentioned it, we're two touchdown underdogs. The most impressive thing was that Shannon Sharp didn't talk for 2 weeks or talk any smack and give him any bulletin board material. I don't know how he got through the 2 weeks, but we 100% believed we were going to win the game. I mean, we did not lack confidence. We didn't give him anything to talk about, but we felt we were the best team the year before. And I know the Packers were in New Orleans, matter of fact, right? And beat the Patriots in Super Bowl 31. We thought that should have been our game. So when we go into this game, 14-point underdogs, we're still thinking we should have won last year. So not only do we think we can win this year, we think we're going to win this year. And I'm glad we proved everybody wrong, because people forgot real quickly that we were 14-2. They forgot real quickly that we had John Elway at quarterback. They forgot real quickly that we had a 2,000-yard rusher and 3,000-yard receivers, right? And that we had a hell of a defense with Steve Atwater and guys like that on the other side of the ball. So it's funny how people can forget those things, but we didn't, and that's what counted.
When you look at that you're talking about that sort of team culture, right? And one of the things that's permeated discussions this week with the Chiefs going for 3 in a row, and quite frankly, with the Eagles coming back after only 2 years away. Jalen Hurts referred to the loss to the Chiefs a couple of years ago. The Chiefs had to come back in the fourth as the kind of thing that set a fire in him that has been burning ever sort of since. And the idea, when you see a changeover with the Broncos, they've obviously turned over so much of the roster under Sean Payton, and you have to do that. But now the idea is, we're bringing in a group of people that all pull on the same end of the rope. Are you seeing sort of the same mindset? You have to build that culture and then plug in people that buy into it, not necessarily the best athletes, but the people who understand what the objectives are and are willing to work towards it.
No doubt about it. And I think, look, it starts with the owner. The Walton Penner Group decided we're going to invest in this football team. We're going to make the decisions we have to make to allow us to have a successful football team. It always starts with the owner. You have to have a great GM. I think we've done a good job in the front office. You have to get the right coach, and then you have to get your quarterback. If you don't have ownership, GM, coach, and quarterback lined up properly, you don't have much of a chance. And so scoring big with Bo Nix was huge for this organization. Sean Payton really believes in him. He knows how to build an offense around his skill set, and it allowed us to have some success to go with a phenomenal defense and a great job of coaching on that side of the ball. But you have to have the players that buy in. To your point regarding skill, 100%. We're talking. There's a lot of receivers that put up big numbers that in crucial situations don't dig out of safety and make that block, and that are more care more about their stats than they do about the team winning. A.J. Brown is a guy, right, that he could be a 10-catch, 2-touchdown guy, right? He knows that. He's been a Pro Bowler, and he's had to bite his tongue and be patient and still work hard in the run game and wait for his opportunity. They have I think the Eagles have the least pass attempts in the league, right? But they have a great run game and a 2,000-yard rusher. But he's been willing to work hard in the run game, and he's been biting his tongue, even though he's reading the book on the sideline, and you can visibly see his frustration. He's buying into that team concept. And so that's just a guy that's playing this week, but the guys on the Broncos have done the same. So there's a lot of hope there. Look, they hadn't made a playoff game since 2015. I called the game on the radio in Super Bowl 50, and they hadn't been back since then, and that seems like an eternity ago.
Yeah.
So I was glad to see, they beat the Chiefs. I went and tailgated out there with the fans in that game, and I know the Chiefs didn't play all their starters, so it was kind of cool to beat the team that's been in 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls and owned our division at the end of the year to get to the playoffs. I think that allows the guys that will return to believe in themselves and to have hope. Now, the average NFL roster has about somewhere between a 50 and 75% turnover rate, right? So that's every year in every team. So you're never done. Like these GMs and scouts, every day they're looking for talent. Every Tuesday and Friday during the season, they bring in guys to try out for the team. There's a lot, more guys on the practice squad now. But you have to put a whole team together of those guys, and it's not enough to just have them be your starters. That certainly helps. You got to have depth. on the D line, you're rotating guys in and out. An offensive lineman goes down, a receiver's hurt for a game or two. You got to have people step up.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think to Sean's point, you're seeing the foundation being laid. Obviously, with Russell Wilson a couple years ago, get over that, bring in Bo Nix. I mean, their win total this year is 5.5. They essentially double that up with 10 wins and get back to the playoffs. So the Broncos are certainly on the right path. I got to ask you, though, tell me a little bit about these McCaffrey protein bites. I mean, who doesn't want some chocolate chip cookie dough?
I know.
And who doesn't want some birthday cake?
Yeah, they brought these over. You're speaking my language here.
I mean,
I can eat healthy without feeling like I'm eating healthy. Okay.
100 calories a serving. I mean, this is awesome.
Well,
man.
that was the goal. Look, I create products, for purposes of full disclosure, that I want to eat. Right. So
Fair.
I wanted a healthy snack that tasted great. And it's hard to find a healthy snack that tastes great. Most of them taste like cardboard or the sole of your shoe. And you want to eat healthy, right? You don't want to go to candy bars and eat junk food, but you can't stomach the healthy food. So these taste great. That's why we have chocolate fudge, chocolate chip cookie dough, and birthday cake.
Man.
So you want to eat something that tastes like a birthday cake, but you don't want to look like you eat birthday cake every day.
Right.
In between lunch and dinner, right? So these are, they're incredibly healthy. They're plant-based protein. A lot of people don't get enough protein. So they have protein in them to keep you fueled throughout the day and help you recover if you work out. They are gluten-free, non-GMO, very low calorie, and they're digestible. Like if you're doing your show, you can't throw down a cheesesteak in the middle of the break, right? You don't want to feel bloated or be chewing on stuff and slobbering all over the place. So you can eat healthy. Hopefully it'll help you to live longer, healthier if you're an older guy like myself, and feel good, but also taste something that tastes great. And that's the hardest part about it. We went through like 50 iterations, and it was dry. It tasted medicine-y. We couldn't get the right flavor. And finally, we found a manufacturer that helped us create, in my opinion, the best tasting healthy snack that you will ever find anywhere. And I feel the same way. We have the mustard and horseradish sauces. They've been selling for over 25 years, not just because of me. There's a lot of kids that forget that I played. It's like Christian's dad or Luke's dad, and some know me as the mustard guy because the mustard's in the refrigerator, right? And so I didn't want to come out with a product that was a collectible because the picture's on the back, or that was a one-hit wonder. I wanted to come out with something that has staying power that other people like myself would like. Healthy food that tastes great.
I'm not saying it just because you're here, but the horseradish mustard. I've always been a fan because it's hard to
you.
get horseradish mustard.
It's
delicious.
Yeah. It is.
And it's good. But what I've also seen the evolution of that, of course, now it's McCaffrey family. It's keeping it all together. You have everybody in there. It's the whole team now.
I've fallen in love with this business and with developing new products, especially food products. I retired from coaching a couple of years ago, and I kind of decided to put a lot of time and energy into my food products business. We are launching a couple of new mustards. We're coming out with a sriracha that we're bringing back. We're going to have a smoky horseradish. And as I learned the business more and more with my good friend Ty, who's my business partner that's been running the business for 25 years, I started getting the itch to come out with other products. So this is the first launch. We did have an Ed's End Zone O's way back in the day. We did have Eddie Mac and Cheese back in the day.
You can't miss that marketing
but this is the first one that I personally put a lot of time and effort into developing after the mustard line that we started in 1998. And it's McCaffrey brands. There's going to be other products that we launch in the next couple of years that I'm really excited about. But right now it's about protein bites. And we want to continue to come out with, in our condiment line, flavors that help good food taste better. And with our, health food products line, delicious tasting food that is healthy for you. Because again,
awesome.
I'm making them for myself. I want healthy foods that I'm going to eat that'll make me feel good about snacking in the middle of the day. So that's why we came out with them so far. The response has been pretty good. People seem to like them. I'm going to leave a couple packs with you guys.
Absolutely.
You can enjoy them during the show. You can get them at McCaffreyBrands.com. So we're online now. We wanted to launch before the Super Bowl. So McCaffreyBrands.com, but we have Dick's Sporting Goods.
Okay.
It's going to put them on their shelves. Shields, Kroger, which is King Supers and
King
City
Supers,
Markets in Colorado. So they have all tasted them. They love them. And they want to put them on their shelves. So soon you'll be able to just go to your local grocery store and pick them up.
Awesome.
But for now, McCaffreyBrands.com.
Your guess is on the game. Obviously, we're watching teams that have played against each other a couple times. No one's ever won 3 in a row. There's a reason for that. It's hard to do. The salary cap makes it difficult. She talked about roster management. A couple pieces fall off the wagon every year. When guys do well, they get paid. Sometimes they go somewhere else. What's your sense on this?
This is going to be a hard-fought football game. These are my keys to the game. For Kansas City, I think they're going to have to establish a little bit of a run and be a little bit committed to the run. This Vic Fangio defense rushes 4, drops 7. They do an incredible job of disguising all their coverage. Now, Mahomes is smart. they can't tell and lean early. He might change his cadence and try to identify what they're doing. But when you drop 7, it's hard to pass into that. And they're really quick to the ball. They'll give you the underneath stuff. They call that the kill zone. They'll give you a 4 or 5 yard catch, and they're going to pop you. And so that means that Kansas City would have to put together 10, 12 play drives to move the ball down the field because they're going to try to limit the explosives. But if Kansas City can run the ball a little bit effectively early, it might cause a safety to inch up a little bit to stop the run. And that's where I think they're going to take a couple of shots to their speed burners. They're going to either hit Xavier Worthy or Hollywood Brown. They're going to take a couple shots on a post route, hold the safety, try to hit something deep. But I think to do that and to get Philly out of that quarters look, it just rotates into 6 and 2 and 1 and brackets people and 3, you name it. They can rotate in anything. To do that, they're going to have to run the ball a little bit. I think the opposite is true for Philly's offense. They know they're going to run the ball. Coach Spags is going to have some slants and blitzes to stop the run, some twists. He's going to throw some different stuff in there, and that's going to give Philly an opportunity to hit a play-action pass down the field. So I think Kansas City has to establish the run. Everybody knows Philly can run, so they're going to have to take some shots. If they hit 1 or 2 big chunk plays in the beginning of the game, that's going to change the whole dynamic for Philly. And then another thing, it just me personally, you got to have a plan for Kelsey. I know it's great to bend but don't break and to give the underneath stuff, but how many times have we seen him, chip and end, fake pass protection, and just leak out for a 2 yard catch, and he falls for 8, and he has 10 catches and 2 touchdowns on the game. Look, it's hard to guard a man-to-man, but in my opinion, you got to stop Mahomes. You got to get pressure with 4 without blitzing too many people, and you got to stop Kelsey. You just do. He's that good. He's about to set a record, break Jerry Rice's record for catches in the playoffs. That's like an almost untouchable record, right? And some of his catches just look so easy. The teams that don't have a good plan for him are going to get beat, in my opinion.
That's one of the reasons they've won 17 consecutive one-score games. When they get close and tight, they go to the security blanket. That ends up being Kelsey. All of our content here brought to you by our friends at Hooters. Remember, watch the Ultimate Game Day there on February 9th. You could win a one-of-a-kind custom-engraved Hooters Colorado Solo Stove. If you're tailgating at home, unbeatable takeout deals as well. Big game party packs, $4 off. Wings, $6 off. 50 wings. You can get into Hooters for all of the football action. But check out that. Eat a little bit healthy as well. Grab yourself some protein bites. McCaffrey.brands.com. Also check it out. A local provider should be all around by in only a few weeks. Great talking football with you. Great talking with the Denver Broncos legend. Enjoy the weekend. Congratulations on everything. It's great to see the whole family of surrounding football and get to do so many great things. Thanks for the time.
Cool. Thank you for having me on the show. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. We will be back with more live from Media Center in New Orleans from the Super Bowl on My Life Sports Today.
I told him I'd only go there with him. I knew it was a lie as soon as I said it.
We like to watch.
My parents don't understand.
I'm definitely a screamer. It used to be just me and her.
But more people makes it more fun.
Football at Hooters. All the games, all season. Crazy good wings, ice cold beer, and the best fans on the planet. Hooters.
Welcome back to Mile High Sports Today, live from the Media Center in the New Orleans Convention Center for Super Bowl 59 coming up this weekend. By the way, all of everything we brought to you this week are brought to you by our friends at Hooters. Watch the big game February 9th with America's favorite cheerleaders, the Hooters girls. Hooters has you covered for all of the football action. Big screen TVs, ice cold beer, mouth-watering wings. Grab Bud Light for $3.11 and a Modelo Especial for $4.15 while you root on your favorite team. Hooters, your big game headquarters. Speaking of, we've known a few big games. Joining us here, Kyle Rudolph, two-time Pro Bowler and analyst of the Big Ten, of course, as well. We'll talk a little bit about what you're doing with Good Sports. I think that's a really, really important thing to discuss. But before we sat down and talked, we were talking a little bit about the college landscape, right? Things have changed dramatically. The NIL world changed. You've evaluated the Big Ten for Peacock, of course. Played for the Irish. They bounced back this year in a big way.
Year.
Just start with that. You give a little love to the alma mater.
Yeah, I mean, great year for Notre Dame. Kind of restoring that relevance that the program deserves. And there's so much history and tradition. Unfortunately, I turned 35 this year. I was born in 1989. We hadn't seen relevance in my lifetime. We won. The last time we won was 1988. Certainly there was a lot of good teams early in the 90s, and then Coach Kelly goes to a national championship game 2012 season, a couple college football playoffs, but we really weren't competitive in any of those games. So to watch this team not just make the 12-team playoff, but then to go on and win 3 games, get to the college football national championship, compete the way they did, ultimately just outmanned against a really good Ohio State team. It's part of football. Injuries happen.
Yeah.
We lost some key players along the way. Would have been fun to see some of our defensive starters out there against that high-powered offense. But, you got to give the guys credit that were there and stepped up and made big plays along the way. But, yeah, the college football landscape as a whole is crazy. It's awesome for the kids that they're now able to cash in on the work that they do. Certainly you can poke holes in it. There's always going to be flaws with anything. The pendulum kind of will always swing from one extreme to the other. We went from not being able to have somebody buy us a meal at McDonald's to now kids are making millions of dollars a year. But then with that, my big issue is the transfer portal. I think there needs to be stricter rules and regulations because we've basically created unrestricted free agency with no salary
The
cap.
Wild West, yeah. And it's interesting to look at, too, because in the end, you still saw Ohio State and Notre Dame. It's not as if random schools were up in the mix. You still had the powerhouse teams by the end bubbling up. But you're right. It's unrestricted free agency, but without a cap.
Yeah, no cap.
Eventually, that is going to benefit certain schools over others, and that might tilt things into something you don't want.
Right. I mean, you see it. Look at the Final Four. You have Notre Dame and Penn State and Ohio State and Texas. Like, you've got 4 of the, blue blood college football programs. And, yeah, that's great for college football to have those historic programs relevant. But the issue becomes when there's a competitive advantage for these schools that have more money and can spend more money. Ultimately, you're creating a baseball market where you could just go buy the best team if you have the funds. So, again, the unrestricted free agency with no salary cap is where I have the problem. You have kids that gone are the days of, I'm playing behind a, NFL draft pick. I got to buy my time. I'm developing. I'm becoming a better player. If you go to school and you don't play as much as you would like, or you don't make as much money as you would like, you just get in the portal and see who the highest bidder is and who's going to give me more opportunities. And I don't agree with that. In some of my games that I've called for the Big Ten on Peacock, I get my call sheet in my game card, and some of these kids got 3 and 4 schools next to their name. And it's like, how are you going to get an education? You're not going to play football forever. Most of you will never play a down in the NFL. There's no way you're going to be able to go to 3 and 4 schools over the course of 4 or 5 years in college football and get a degree and understand how important education is to you for the future.
How do you think that impacts a school like Notre Dame, right? Because it's not just NIL with them. Like, you need a certain academic level to be able to go to Notre Dame, right?
Well, I'm pretty sure at Notre Dame, we can't accept a transfer unless they're a grad transfer. So they have to have already graduated from the school. We've seen it recently on the quarterback position. We've had, Sam Hartman, then Riley Leonard. I think before that, there were after Ian Book, we've kind of just had 5th-year transfers come play quarterback at Notre Dame. So for us, it kind of puts us a little bit at a competitive disadvantage. You can't just go recruit the portal every year and get freshmen and sophomores at other universities who have played well and then say, hey, we'll give you a little bit more money. Come over to Notre Dame.
Going to the pro side of things, obviously, your position's at the spotlight here. We are at the Super Bowl. And the numbers for the tight end position are consistently increasing, obviously. Now you're looking at, over the last 10 years, virtually, I think it was about 17 out of the 20 Super Bowl finalists in the last 10 seasons have had a tight end that had at least 45 catches. That's obviously an important part of the equation because the tight end position, from your side of it, you can kind of be a cheat code if you understand the right way. And for people who are trying to understand why that happens, why tight ends can be so dominant in the way they can have their leverage in the middle of the field, where I think a lot of fans look at it and go, how do you lose this guy? Yeah. But there's ways you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And scheme plays a huge part in that. I think the skill set of tight ends in today's NFL plays a huge part in that. You guys being in Denver, you see it in your division with a young guy like
Not
Brock
on the
Bowers.
Broncos, but yeah.
Obviously, you see it in Kansas City with Travis Kelce. So it's a couple of things. And I also think some of the rule changes have benefited the tight end position. A lot of the former players talk about all the time. You had to make a business decision if you were going to throw the ball into traffic across the middle of the field.
Right.
Back in the day. In today's world, you can throw the ball across the middle all you want. And you have a big body tight end who can't get hit. So, yeah, of course, I'm going to exploit that as an offensive player. It kind of takes some of that risk out of the middle of the field that used to be there back in the day. And I'll be the first one to admit it. As a tight end, that's one of the things that we've benefited from in some of these rule changes.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, right? And I have a soft spot for the tight end as well, just because I think it's such a versatile position, right? The ability to block, be that safety blanket for the quarterback and whatnot. And it's going to be interesting. Denver needs one. Tyler Warren is a guy that, a lot of people have their eye on. Hopefully, if the Broncos can figure out a way to likely have to move up the draft him, but there's some other great tight ends in this draft as well. But Kyle, I want to talk to you about Good Sport. Explain to me what you're doing with them and how you're helping the people out.
Yeah, Good Sports is an incredible nonprofit organization doing unbelievable work and kind of bringing equal opportunities to kids across the country. 75% of parents feel like they have to make a decision, potentially pull their kids out of sports because they can't financially afford it. And I think about like what youth sports meant to me when I was a kid. Yes, ultimately I went on to play professional sports, but that's not the case for 99% of these kids.
And you don't know it at the time.
But every single one of those kids will learn valuable life lessons. You learn how to be a good human, a good teammate. You learn how to handle adversity. You learn how to compete. You'll learn things that you'll take into your life far beyond sports, that if that opportunity is not there for you and you're not able to participate in those sports because you don't have the equipment, you don't have the financial means, you just think about the opportunities for growth that so many of our kids will be missing out on.
And this isn't anything new for you. You started your own company to help with raising funds for leagues, for youth leagues, so they can get going. How did you get into this world?
Yeah, so for me, it was just I've always tried to leverage my platform to make a difference. And late in my career, as I started to think about what was next, co-founded a company called All True. Basically what we do is partner with other celebrities, athletes, entertainers to allow them to create a once-in-a-lifetime experience for their diehard fans to donate for a chance to win. It's not just the high net worth rich people that go to the events and buy all the live auction items. This is, you can support some of these nonprofits for as little as $10. Donate $10, you get chances to win some of these once-in-a-lifetime experiences. And, we've been very fortunate over the last 3.5 years, we've raised $9 million for charity. And it's coming from a bunch of $10, $25, $50 donations as opposed to, the big high net worth donations.
So how can people help?
You can go to goodsports.org, learn a lot more about Good Sports, the incredible work they're doing. And then at alltrue.com, ALLTROO.com, you can check out some of the cool things that we have going on, some of the cool prizes, some of the cool experiences you can win, but also the incredible causes that you can support.
Make sure you check it out. Check out both of those sites, see how you can help with the youth communities and fostering that growth in sports. Good teammates make for good people at work, offices, everything in the rest of the world. So it pays off in a lot of ways. Kyle Rudolph, thanks so much. Looking forward to breaking down the Big Ten. It was an exciting year.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Obviously, fun in the college football world. Two-time Pro Bowler, of course. Thanks for the time. Enjoy the rest of Super Bowl weekend.
Thank you, guys. You too. Appreciate you having me.
Thanks so much. We'll be back with more live from the Media Center right here on Miley Sports Today.
So many bills. I can't even afford charcuterie.
No summer vacation. That's a thing. The worst? Talking on the phone with my voice like an animal.
Adulting is hard. Hooters is easy. All the games, all the wings, all the beers, all season. No worries. Hooters.
Welcome back to Mile High Sports Today. I'm Shawn Drotar and Piro on my right. All of it brought to you by our friends at Hooters. By the way, gear up for the ultimate game day at Hooters. Watch the big game February 9th at Hooters, and you can win a one-of-a-kind custom engraved Hooters Colorado Solo Stove. Tailgating at home for the big game? Well, Hooters has unbeatable takeout deals like their big game party pack. $4 off 20 wings or $6 off 50 wings. Get into Hooters for all the football action. We're live at the media center. I finally got it. Took me all
There
week,
you go. You
but I
got it.
finally got it.
Row?
The media center. And you've done this too many times. Your Radio Row's a reflex. But we're here with Andrew Sneyd, who has one of the most fascinating and maybe more important jobs in sports nowadays. You are the executive vice president at FanDuel.
Yeah.
And obviously, we're familiar with some of the guys involved in your promotion with the Kick of Destiny 3, Peyton Manning, of course. How did that come about? Obviously, you know, we're down here in New Orleans. The Mannings are football legends, of course, and we know that they make an awful lot of sense for something like this. We've seen the funny ads. How did it all come together?
Thank you. Yeah, no, it just made a lot of sense. The opportunity to be in New Orleans and have the Kick of Destiny 3 feature Peyton versus Eli in a kicking competition that's minutes from where they actually grew up just made a ton of sense. May the best Manning win. And what we're fortunate is this year we have the opportunity for it to actually air as a segment with Fox in the pregame.
Oh, very nice.
So it'll be hosted by Rob Gronkowski, who's gone 0 for 2 in the Kick of Destiny. And oldest brother Cooper will be there as analyst in the pregame show from Fox. And we'll have an opportunity to let this play out as a kicking competition, sudden death, to see who gets the ultimate bragging rights at every Manning family dinner moving forward, because one of them will have 3 Super Bowl Sunday victories and the other one will be stuck at 2.
That is a good point. Let me ask you about the Kick of Destiny and kind of the growth of it, right? Because I remember when it first started a couple years ago with Gronk, I was like intrigued. I'm like, okay, like what is this? Rob Gronkowski's going to try to kick a field goal, right? Runs it back last year. To your point, he's 0-2. How has the Kick of Destiny kind of evolved with FanDuel over the last few years?
Yeah, so it started as a live Super Bowl commercial, and it turns out 30 seconds runs pretty quick. But it was a whole fun campaign leading up to it. Fish out of water. Can this great Super Bowl competitor kick? Because that's not what he's known for. He's known for catching. And then last year you could pick whether he was going to make or miss, which was just a fun wrinkle for all the sports fans out there to decide if they're going to fade him or if they were going to back him. And this year you get to pick Eli versus Peyton. So you can open your app right now, choose Peyton, choose Eli. You get it right, you kick off your Super Bowl Sunday, winning a fair share of $10 million in bonus bets. And just one of the great ways to kick off your sports betting day on Super Bowl Sunday.
Awesome. Not only is it kind of a funny and fun idea, but I also think it's taken off in part because it's relatable, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody looks at it and goes, I think if you could just line me up, I might be able to kick one.
Yeah.
But then you watch these great athletes. Rob Gronkowski couldn't do it twice, and presumably he was practicing. So you realize, hey, it's a lot harder than you think, but there's always that armchair quarterback vibe, right? Like, I could have made that throw. I could have made that catch. I could have made that kick.
All of them have a lot more respect for the kickers on their team that they didn't really interact with before. And the Mannings certainly weren't known for their legs, even while they were quarterbacks.
Right.
But one of their legs is going to have to come through in the victory this weekend.
Looking forward to it, man. Obviously, Peyton and Eli doesn't get much better than that. To Sean's point, we're very familiar with Peyton back home at Colorado, Super Bowl 50 champion. Eli with his couple as well. So it's going to be awesome. Let's talk about the big game here a little bit as well, because it is Super Bowl, or it is the big game coming up this Sunday as well. And props galore, right? Like that's the one thing that I think that separates this game from all the rest. And look, I love the championship games. I love the regular season as well. But what are some of the offerings that are maybe different this Sunday that you can't normally get on a regular football Sunday?
Yeah, so we have over 600 different markets available for Super Bowl Sunday. Those include everything from, of course, who's going to get the first touchdown. We actually have a promotion right now for everyone in Colorado that if you get $5 million will be shared amongst the first touchdown scorer as a bonus and the last touchdown scorer as a bonus. So if you pick any touchdown scorer, you get that as an extra bonus. But then everything from passing yards for the quarterbacks to even the detail of the first missed field goal is a prop bet. Right now in Colorado, you get plus 5,500 odds if it's a crossbar doink. There's a different bet if it's a left doink, a right doink, wide left.
Wow.
I'm a Bills fan, so I can't say the next part of that.
Right.
Fair enough.
But everything is available in there. And Your Way is a specific feature that's now available everywhere. It was first available in Colorado.
where you actually get to handcraft precisely what bets you want to make. So if you think, rather than just Travis Kelce to get more than 50 yards, more than 100 yards, you might say, I think he's getting his jersey number, and you can turn the dial to exactly 87 and get that price and turn $20 into $75 for that specific market.
Very nice.
So the idea behind so much of this, it's fascinating watching the growth. The reports this week, $1.4 billion expected to be bet in the United States legally in gaming. And the growth of it, to my mind, I don't think there's a lot of controversy around it, especially here where we're talking about it. But sometimes outside, there's the thought process, and I try to explain it to people, and I know Aniello has as well, that a lot of this was happening.
Yeah.
The advantage of legal sports betting is the fact that it is more transparent, it is regulated, it brings in tax revenue. That there is really no downside to this, even for the consumer and for the people who don't bet. They benefit as well by this now all being legal and transparent and easy for people to use.
Yeah, clearly gambling has been happening in society since the early days of man.
Right.
The opportunity for us to figure out how we can help shape this moving forward in as responsible way as we can is important. We take that really, really to heart, and we know that we, as the leader, America's #1 sports book, we have more responsibility than anyone to make sure that we build this thing the right way. So, for example, 3.5 million people have access to the MySpend tool. It's like, hey, wait a minute, how's this working for me? Let me go into the account and figure out how many bets I've won, how much money I've spent. That's important. We want people to use the tools like the time they're spending on the app and wager and deposit limits. Those are really helpful to be able to make sure that you're using it well and you're building it in a way that stays fun and entertaining, because that's what we want. We want as many people as possible having a little bit of fun with this. The average bet for a same game parlay is under $5.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that.
It's just a little bit of your sports lottery ticket fun tonight, as opposed to waiting to see what number of ball is going to come out of some silly machine. I would like to be able to lean in and enjoy the game a little better.
Yeah.
And it's fun that people can participate and use it in those ways.
Well, and I think it's as much, back in the day, right? Like you have like this image of like what sports betting used to be like, right? Like guys in the trench coats walking up with all the different tickets and whatnot. But like I always talk about it with my friends is like you mentioned how a majority of these parlays, a couple of bucks, $10, whatever it might be, it's pizza money, right? And I think what it's done is enhanced the viewing experience. Is you can throw together a crazy 10-leg long shot parlay. One day, maybe that's going to come through, or you could play it a little bit more conservatively, get a couple minus odds, put them together, get a nice plus number there as well. So I think sports betting doesn't have to be this big boom or bust phenomenon. I think you guys at FanDuel have done a great job of catering to sports bettors of all different levels and experiences.
Yeah, there's a lot of folks that really want to prove that they know more and they want to make a specific wager at $50. There's a lot of people that just want to have a little fun on a Tuesday night and get a couple prop bets for Nuggets players of rebounds.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, what I like to say is this works best when you're having fun, even when you don't hit. Hey, I hit 3 of my 5 legs of this parlay. I leaned in and enjoyed the basketball game a little more than I would have. And maybe it's the same money you would have spent on deciding to rent a movie on Amazon Prime that night, and you had risk of whether or not that was going to be a great movie or it was going to be a waste of your time. So
that's a good point.
How I think the role, and it's important that people don't think that this is the way that they make money. This is the way we have fun and enjoy the game.
Correct.
Right, and that's the way I've always approached it too. I'm not ever trying to do it to get rich. I'm just trying to have a little bit of fun.
Yeah,
it's an educated guess. I felt it was going to be this. I'm going to see if I'm right, find out if it works out, and that has exploded in the world with the app space because the ability to do props. Now, of course, everyone was used to maybe spreads and money lines, but now, of course, player props, which in many ways started with FanDuel and DFS, has now become really a lot of what is driving the gaming now.
For sure. People love, we have some of the biggest bets are not really, people ask like, hey, are you guys going to do really well or poorly if Kansas City wins or Philly wins? More of what people are interested in is any touchdown score.
Right.
How you can actually use the Your Way tool to pick forget even the number of yards thrown, just will Hurts throw more than Mahomes, or the other way around is a fun thing that you'll find in our app as well. So and all the way to the recreational one that I'm sure people are seeing and in their living rooms or in sports bars with Super Bowl squares. We have that product for people that just want to have a little bit of fun. And luckily on our app, you don't have to get randomly told that you're the 2 and 2 and trying to figure out, wait, what numbers are possibly going to work? You get to see the odds at all times for what's going to happen for each team on the Super Bowl squares grid. And so that's a fun way that people can play. Whether you're a serious bettor or you just want to have a little more fun with America's biggest sports holiday moment, the Super Bowl, we want to be there for all the different kinds of people and how they want to play.
100%. You know, I say it here at Mile High Sports whenever I do my FanDuel reads as well for the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm an active FanDuel user. If you're not on FanDuel right now, what are you waiting for? The promotions are out there. The big game is coming up. And we got to ask you, though. Chiefs back in the Super Bowl, it feels like it's a bit of a formality at this point. Like I saw a tweet the other day and it was like annual Patrick Mahomes Super Bowl photo. And I'm like, annual? But it basically, it really has been like that over the last, it's been crazy. But, the Eagles got some talent, Saquon Barkley and company. Do you have a feel one way or the other? Is there a side that you maybe like in this game?
So personally, I'm a huge Buffalo Bills fan.
Oh,
so
sorry. I have a question about this.
Yeah.
So I've always wondered this. Sports fans very, very often differ. So if the Chiefs win, the Bills maybe look a little better because what are you going to say? You lost to the champs, right?
Yeah.
Then again, they just beat the Bills. So screw those guys. You want to get plastered, right?
Yeah, I'm more in the screw those guys.
Okay, fair.
I'll decide that I'm excited for Saquon Barkley because, we basically have America's villains playing against each other here on Super Bowl Sunday. It would have been a lot more fun to see my Bills in the mix, but 125 million people are going to watch it. It's a part of the ritual of sport fandom here in America. And it doesn't matter who's playing. Let's enjoy the villains facing off against each other.
Yeah, it will be fun. Obviously, we're looking forward to it. Obviously, a lot of different ways to do it. Talked about all those great promotions and things that are happening only in Colorado, by the way, too. So nice to be at the Vanguard. Colorado was with that in the early going, and it still continues to benefit. Andrew, obviously, you have a very busy weekend in front of you.
I do.
So we hopefully you get a little bit of time to enjoy it, but we appreciate you sitting down with us and talking about it. Both Aniello and I obviously sort of live in that space as well. So it's really a treat. This is a chance to talk to you.
This was great to chat through, and thank you for being customers. And for everyone out there, it's the perfect time to sign up if you haven't yet.
There you go. Hey, big games on Sunday. Still plenty of time. Check it out.